Good morning everyone. This is your subject physical education for class 11. So we will be continuing chapter number 3, which is physical fitness, wellness and lifestyle. We will be starting with lecture number 2 today, and we are also going to discuss the answers of questions which were given in your lecture number 1 homework. So in this lecture we are going to study about the components of physical fitness and wellness. There are various physical components and wellness components. So we are going to start with the components of physical fitness. Physical fitness has various components. Different sports activities and physical activities is developed each component in varying amounts. So there are different physical fitness components, and in each and every game and sport you are going to find one or the other component which is related to it as a basic skill. For example, sports that include constant movement such as swimming and running improves heart and efficiency, whereas in gymnastic it improves flexibility. So when we are talking about cycling, running, swimming, there is an improvement in heart and efficiency of lungs. So when we are talking about heart and efficiency of lungs, we are talking about endurance. Then the same thing, when we are talking about gymnastics, you might have seen the gymnast who performs, look at their flexibility. So these endurance, this flexibility and several other components are there which you can see from different games and sports. The various components of physical fitness are given below. So we are going to start. The first one is strength. Strength is the ability of the muscle to overcome resistance. So strength is an ability of an individual or of a muscle through which we can overcome resistance. Now resistance here can be any kind of weight. For example, a weight of 10 kg is a weight of 5 kg. If, for example, if you are able to lift up a table might be of 2 to 3 kgs, then your strength is of resisting that particular weight because you are able to lift it up. So whatever you can resist, whatever weight you can resist, that much your strength is. It is a major component of physical fitness. Strength can also be defined as the amount of force muscle or a muscle group can exert. So the force which is produced by your muscle or a group of muscle, that is also known as your strength. So these are the two different definitions. You can learn any one of them. Strength of the body can be measured in pounds or dynes. In a certain level of strength is also essential for a common person, while for a sports person to have strength is of paramount importance. So when we talk about a journal person, for example, we take a very basic example that from the market when you go and you bring that 5 kg or 10 kg of that atta packet, right? So that particular strength is actually needed by a common person also who is not into games and sports. There are several activities in a day, a daily routine, where you need to perform different activities. For example, carrying your own bags, strength of your shoulders or your hands. And the same way goes with the sports person also. The sports person need to have strength in a very good amount, and because it is something very important to them. Or sports may require less amount of strength while other applications or sports require much more strength. So it depends on different kind of sports. If you are in 100 meters, for example, you might not be needing that much strength as compared to a person who is a weightlifter. So it depends on different games also, the kind of strength you needed. In the same way, sports or applications require different type of strength. For a better understanding of strength, so now for a better understanding, the strength is actually divided into two parts. One is your dynamic, another one is your static. So dynamic strength is a strength which is also known as isotonic strength because it is related to the movements. Wherever there are movements and you need to show your strength or generate that power or force by your muscles, that is known as your isotonic strength or dynamic strength. Like for example, in pull-ups or push-ups we require dynamic strength because you keep on moving, you keep on doing different movements. While doing such workout, there is diminishing tendency of dynamic strength, and as a result after some time muscle refuse to do work. So See, when you start doing a push-up, like for example, last year when you were in 10th, we all conducted that different test for you people. So there was this push-up test also. So you were given a time of 1 minute. Many of you were able to do it for 1 minute. Many of you were not able to do it. So it is a kind of strength which diminishes by time or by the frequency of what you are doing. So if you keep on performing it, there will be a time where you get exhausted and you will not be able to do even a single pull-up. Movements can clearly visible when someone uses dynamic strength. In a sport, movement strength of pairs in different forms. So it is of different forms again. We are going to study in the next slide. So now the dynamic strength can be divided into three different parts. So just keep this thing in mind that dynamic strength is a strength which is related to movements, and all these three, maximum strength, explosive strength and strength endurance, are related to the movements, and that is why they come under dynamic strength. The first one is your maximum strength. It is the ability to act against maximum resistance. That means the maximum amount of weight which you can resist. The maximum, for example, you can just pick up the maximum level of your weight. Lifting a weight is 10 kgs or 20 kgs or 5 kgs, whatever it is, that is your maximum resistance towards something. Maximum strength is not usually used in majority of sports. It is usually used in those sports in which very heavy resistance have to be tackled. For example, weightlifting, shot put, hammer throw, discus throw and javelin throw. Another sports, maximum stress is required for a short period. For example, cross position in Roman rings, in gymnastics, starting and accelerating phase in sprinting events, take off in long jump and high jump and triple jump, and also other kind of sports. Maximum strength is really important. So when we talk about maximum strength, that means the maximum amount of weight which you can carry, as I told you before also. So like weight lifting, shot put, hammer throw, all these require maximum amount of strength, because in many of the throwing events you need to show your maximum strength so that that particular object or equipment you can throw it to the maximum distance. And same goes with the weightlifting also. You can lift the maximum weight, only then you can win. Then when we talk about different games like cross position in Roman rings, which is in gymnastics, starting and accelerating, the way you say on your mark set and that go. And in that go, when you accelerate, start pushing your strength with your speed, only then you work out. So that time you need maximum strength so that your body can just push yourself and you can move as fast as possible. So maximum strength is mainly needed in sports like throwing events and weightlifting, and it also require in some of the other area or for a very small time, for a very bit of time in few sports also. Next is explosive strength. Now explosive strength can be defined as the ability to overcome resistance with high speed. In fact, it is a combination of strength and speed abilities. So here you need to understand that explosive strength is a combination of two components. One is your strength itself, another one is your speed. Whenever you perform any of the activity in which you need both strength as well as your speed, that is your explosive strength. Now the examples may be your sprint starts, whenever you take the start, weightlifting. Now weightlifting, you'll have a question that it was used in maximum strength also. Yes, because you need to lift that weight, that is the maximum weight which you have to lift up, but you have to do it in a speed. When you from a jerk, when you come to the clink, from a clink when you come to the jerk, so you need to do it in a high speed. Same way it goes for shot put, hammer throw also. Now relate this thing. Now if I'll ask you to throw a stone as far as possible, so you will be using two things. One is your strength, obviously, another one is your speed. Until and unless you just throw that stone with all your speed and strength in your hand, only then that stone is going to go as far as possible. Otherwise, using maximum strength but the speed is not there, then it will be of no use. So in many of the games in sports, This kind of strength, explosive strength, is required. Why? Because it is kind of a explosion. Like for example, it is when it is a on your mark, set, go. And then if that particular go, you just have to react fast. You have to do it as soon as possible with your maximum strength, with your full strength and your speed. Next is our strength endurance. So it is a combination of strength and endurance abilities. Strength endurance can be defined as the ability to overcome resistance or to act against the resistance under conditions of fatigue. Fatigue means being tired or exhausted. It can be of more form, like it can be of static as well as dynamic strength, depending on the fact whether the movement of static or dynamic. Strength endurance is commonly used in long distance races, swimming, road cycling, or any of the sports in which you need to have that strength continuously for a longer period of time. So it is basically when you can exert power, or when you can produce more and more force for a longer period of time without getting fatigued. Like I gave you the example of push-ups for 1 minute. Now there will be people who are going to do push-ups for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or like 500 push-ups in a single go, or um, thousands of push-ups in a single go, for example. So you need to understand that when you do that particular thing, the strength obviously is generated, that power is generated by your body or your muscles, and you are continuously doing it without any break, without getting exhausted, without getting tired. That is your strength endurance. And in all the competitions in which the timing or the length of that particular event is more, then your strength endurance is used. And next is a static strength. So all those three were the types of dynamic strength, and now we are going to talk about static strength. So it is also called isometric strength. Isometric strength means that there is no change in the movements, or there is no change in the length or the movement. It is the ability of muscles to act against resistance. Static strength can be measured by dynamometer. This type of strength is not experienced directly, or opposite strength is not usually applied in sports. It is applied in a phase of different games and sports, or in that particular or different skills. So static strength is kind of a strength. For example, like if I ask you to push the wall, you put your whole strength in pushing the wall, but there will be no movement. Why? Because the wall will not move from its place, and there will be no movement which we can see. But an individual who is pushing that particular wall, he or she is putting her all strength over it. So it is a kind of a strength which is exactly not used in many of the games and sports, but in some few phases in between it might be used. So next physical component is speed. So speed may be defined as the ability or capacity of an individual to perform a movement for the same pattern in the faster rate. So speed is something when you have to perform any of the movement which is of same pattern. For example, if I talk about rotation of arms, we do that forward rotation and backward rotation. If we are doing it in a faster rate, that is also your speed. In fact, speed is the ability to move the body as fast as possible, especially in running. So we normally talk about running events when we talk about somebody's speed, that someone runs faster, or if you run faster you have to take 100 meters. So all these kind of things are there. So it is just the ability of an individual to move his body from one place to another with faster rate, that is your speed. However, different sports skills require different types of fast movements and quick reactions. So now it depends on everything. Like it can be in long jump also, it can be in shot put also, it can be in anything where your body just moves or changes its position in a faster rate. That is also known as speed. It's not just only about the distance which we are covering, but also the movement which we are doing in our body. Speed is much more than just running. It includes the speed of body parts such as explosive strength of a shot putter, his body across the throwing circle. So when an individual has to throw the putt or the shot. So what actually happen is, with all his speed in the circle, he has to rotate and then throw the shot put or the discus or the javelin or any other equipment. Speed of a gymnast in handspring. Most of the sports required speed over short distance as running between the wickets. So you might have seen that there is this, when in cricket, when you have to take runs, so you have to run faster. So in many of the sports you can see it like for a very smaller distance, like for example one you can see in cricket, it can be in football and hockey also, where you have to run after the ball for a smaller period of time and not for like for whole of the, like for not for continuously for 70 minutes or 90 minutes, but yes, for single minutes or few seconds you have to run faster behind the ball or with the ball. So speed is required in each and every game. Speed depends on the types of muscle fibers, where there are two types of muscle fiber. One is your fast twitch, another one is your slow twitch fiber. So fast twitch fibers are the fibers that contract rapidly in a very high speed and produce maximum amount of strength, whereas slow twitch fibers contract slowly and produce less force. So there are two types of muscle fiber. One is which contracts rapidly in a faster speed. Another one is your slow twitch, which contracts slowly. And the another difference is that because it contracts in a very high speed, it gets fatigued very fast. And when we talk about slow twitch, these are the fibers which contract slowly and they work for a longer period of time. Therefore, fast twitch fibers are quick and slow twitch fibers are slow. Now, it can be decided easily whether an individual is fit to speed related events or events which are related to endurance, because percentage of these fibers in an individual can be measured. So, there is this muscle biopsy which is done, and through it we can easily check the amount of percentage in an individual of fast twitch and slow twitch. Individual, those who have fast twitch muscle fibers are going to have events like short distance, 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, and individuals who have more percentage of slow twitch muscle fibers are going to opt for longer distance races. Training can enhance speed by reducing the reaction time of the individual. So you need to keep one thing in mind, that you just can't change this muscle fiber. The composition you can't change, but if you need to um, increase your speed or enhance your performance, then reaction ability can be enhanced and speed endurance can be enhanced, that for a longer period of time you can maintain that particular speed. Most probably, speed is used in every sport except long distance races or endurance related sports. For example, your marathon races or long distance races like 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, cross country, marathon, half marathon, etc. Now the next one is your endurance. So endurance is another component of physical fitness like speed and strength. It is the ability to sustain an activity. So it is the ability of an individual, where an individual can perform an activity for a longer period of time without getting fatigued. So that is how one can sustain an activity. So endurance is directly or indirectly of high importance. It is usually measured by the number of repetitions. Now for example, here the example is of push-ups. Like in a 1 minute, how many push-ups an individual can take, that will be measuring his or her abdominal muscle endurance. So same way, for example, if we take, like if I ask you to take rounds of the school ground, now an individual who is going to take the maximum number of rounds will have the more endurance as compared to other students. So this is through the number of repetitions also of any of the activity, you can also measure endurance of that particular muscle part or of that for that particular skill or activity. The types of endurance varies from sports to sports, so it depends on different sports. Basically, there are two types of endurance, that is short term endurance and long term endurance. So though you can though endurance can have many more sub parts of short term and long term as well, so it depends on different sports, but basically there are two. The first one is short term endurance. Short term endurance is needed in sports where the action and movement is only for short duration and high, but for high intensity, for example hockey, football, wrestling, etc. So here what happens is that all these games you need to perform for a short period of time, not continuously. You can take breaks in between, but the intensity is high. Second type is our long term endurance. So long term endurance is needed in sports where the action or movement is for a longer period of time and is of less intensity. So these kind of events in which the duration of those events is long, like for example it might be for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, like that, but the intensity of doing the movements or the action is very low. You don't have to run faster, you don't have to perform any of the movement with very high intensity or good frequency or very fast, but the slow intensity movements can be done easily with a longer period of time. Those are your those games come under your long term endurance, and the examples are long distance races, road cycling, cross country, marathon races, all these kind of events in which the intensity is slow but they are done for a longer period of time. Now endurance is not only needed in sports but is also needed for a common individual in his or her daily life or day to day life. So it is not only important for sports persons, but it is also important for an individual who is not into sports, a common person who exactly needs to do his or her work in a day to day life, but he also needs to do that work without getting tired or without getting fatigued, so that he does not feel exhausted. So it is very important for common person also to have endurance. Endurance can be increased by these three methods are given here: continuous training method, interval training method, and repetition methods. Continuous training method is a method in which there is no gap in between the repetitions are given. So you have to continuously running. For example, of continuous training method, you can say that you have to run for continuously for 45 minutes. So in that 45 minutes, you can't stop in between, you can't walk, you just have to run continuously. Second is your interval training method. It is a method in which you need gap, you take gaps or recovery period in between. For example, if I ask you to perform 60 meters repetitions, 60-meter distance repetition, and repetition would be 5. So after each and every repetition, you can take a recovery gap of 30 seconds or 1 minute. It depends on your own endurance. And then the repetition method, in which we do perform different kind of repetitions with both. It is a combination of both continuous and interval training method. Next is flexibility. So flexibility is a necessary component of physical fitness. Flexibility is a range of movements of the joints. So it is the range of movement of your joint. For example, if you check your elbow, so there is this flexion and extension which is done when you just open the elbow and on when you close. So this is your flexibility. An individual who has proper flexibility can perform his or her work very easily. So an individual who is having good flexibility, he can perform all his work with very ease. Such people seem to be attractive. Usually they tend to have good personality. Flexibility is not only a significant factor in sports but also equally significant for an individual in his or her daily life. The range of movement varies significantly from joint to joint but depends on the structure of joint, tendon, ligament and muscle tissue. So if you can understand from what I said, that if an individual is going to have a good flexibility, then he is going to have good graceful movements. He will be more attractive, the outer appearance will be good. It will be easier for him to um, do different skills or drills or different activities or movements in kids and sports also. And now it all actually depends on uh, the structure of the joint. For example, if I talk about the joint in your wrist, okay, so there is this flexion, extension and 2 3 movements which you can perform. But when I talk about the joint of your shoulder, now when you talk about the shoulder joint, you can have this whole circumduction or rotation, but you just can't do it with your elbow, right? So The range of motion depends on the structure of the joint, and then the tendon is which joins your muscles with your bones, ligaments which joins bones to bones, and the muscle tissue. So it just depends on all these factors. Flexibility is related to genetic factors as well as physical activity programs. So it depends on both the things. From birth, an individual might have a good flexibility. It can be biological or it can be genetic factor also, and it can also be increased or enhanced by the physical activity programs. Usually, tight joints prevent smooth and efficient movements, and cost of flexibility training prevents muscular injuries. So what exactly happens is that when an individual is not flexible enough, he or she can have problems in performing different activities, and one can also go through different muscular injuries. But if we perform flexible training programs, so these programs can prevent these muscular injuries. Maintaining flexibility throughout the life, especially in back and leg muscles, mainly help in preventing back problems. Flexibility is helpful in learning various skills easily, such as backstroke in swimming. These skills can be learned easily if an individual has ample flexibility. So from the whole paragraph, you might have understand few points. The one is that it depends on genetic factors as well as what kind of training program you are doing. Second, that if your joints are tight, the range of motion is not good, then obviously the movement which you are going to perform will not be smooth and efficient. Third, if you perform good training methods, you can prevent muscular injuries. And if you are able to maintain your flexibility of your back and your legs, then you will prevent all those back problems or back injuries, back pain. And if your flexibility is good, then it will be easier for you to perform many difficult activities properly. So after understanding flexibility, now we are going to discuss the two types of flexibility. One is your passive flexibility, another one is your active flexibility. Passive flexibility, the ability to carry on movement to greater distance with external help. So here you take the help of an individual, another individual. For example, stretching exercises with the help of a partner. Passive flexibility is always more than active flexibility. In fact, passive flexibility is the foundation of activity at the flexibility. So it is actually all about that when you take somebody's help in performing the flexibility or stretching exercises, that is your passive flexibility. And it is more, why? Because more strength, or it is forced by another person, so that you can perform that activity in a proper way. Next is our active flexibility. So active flexibility is the ability to carry out movement to a longer distance without any external help. For example, to do a stretch without the help of a partner. So it's very simple. Passive is what you do with the help of a partner, and active is what you do by your own. Actively, where you participate actively by yourself. That is your active flexibility. Active flexibility again can be further divided into two parts. One is a static and another one is your dynamic. Now from the words, from the starting we are doing the same thing. Static means where there is no movement, and dynamic means where there are movements. So static flexibility, it is usually required by the sports person when he remains in a static position. For example, while diving, sitting, lying, or any standing or starting position in various sports. Or you can say that if I ask you to bend down, bend forward, and then I ask you to hold in that particular position, that means the stretching is done of those particular movements or of those particular muscles or joints, but the movement, you can't see the movements, right? Then dynamic flexibility, it is needed for carrying out movements to greater distance when an individual is in motion. So for example, if I ask you to do sidewards bending, but in a continuous way, that you bend down and then you come back and then again you bend down. So this is how you do that. So this is dynamic, in which the movements can be seen. The last component of physical fitness is coordinative abilities. It mainly depends on the central nervous system. The coordinative abilities are those abilities of an individual which enable the individual to do various related activities properly as well as efficiently. So it depends, mainly depends on our central nervous system, how we control our body and how we coordinate our central nervous system with various parts of our body, the muscles, the sensory organs and everything. So coordinative abilities are the abilities which enables an individual, which helps an individual to do movements in a very efficient way and in a very graceful way. These abilities can be of various types. It can be balance ability, rhythm ability, adaptation ability, and reaction ability. So balance ability is the ability in which an individual has to balance his body. Rhythm is with the rhythm. For example, if I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, so with that 1, 2, 3, 4, an individual is performing an activity. Then adaptation ability is the ability in which you adapt to different games and sports and accordingly you coordinate. And then reaction ability is when you react to some of the stimuli. So these types of abilities can be enhanced to journal or specific exercises. Usually a beautiful and graceful movement of our body are directly related to our coordinative abilities. Now the homework for this lecture: define speed. Question number 2, explain the types of dynamic strength. Question number 3, define endurance. Question number 4, what are the two types of flexibility? Explain. Now the discussion of answers of questions from lecture number 1. So in lecture number 1, question number 1 was define physical fitness. Answer it. It is the ability of a person to do daily routine work without fatigue. Moreover, to participate in playful activities and still reserve enough capacity to meet any emergency. Question number 2 was explain the importance of physical fitness and wellness. Answer is physical fitness and wellness are really significant for living and healthy and a well balanced life. These are necessary for reducing the risk of heart and lungs disease. Most of physically fit individuals tend to have lower resting blood pressure. Everyone wants to maintain one's physical fitness to perform the routine work easily. Question number 3 was what do you mean by lifestyle? Answer is lifestyle is a manner of living that reflects the person's values and attitude. Question number 4 is explain the importance of a positive lifestyle. Answer: the importance of positive lifestyle are as follows. First one is increases self confidence. A healthy lifestyle increases the level of fitness of an individual. After being fit, an individual tends to become more self confident and self aware. Next is improves posture. Poor posture is a major cause of physical injuries and often leads to huge problems in later part of the life. So a healthy lifestyle improves the posture and physical appearance. This is the end of your lecture. Thank you.